Hi everybody, Shannon Petrovich with Therapist Talks, the Narcissistic Tantrum and how to respond. Have you ever thought that a narcissist in your life is like a 3-year-old having a tantrum? They stomp, scream, tirade, threaten, maybe cry, maybe rage, maybe throw things or even become violent. Just like a 3-year-old, many narcissistic tantrums start because they didn't get their way. This is not to make light of this tantrum. To be sure, the narcissist is a much bigger and much scarier body. But seeing it for what it is helps us to respond in healthier ways, doing less damage to ourselves and over time finding emotional freedom. If there's violence in your relationship, the simple answer is you have to get away and stay away from this person in order to regain your sense of sanity, your mental and physical health, and to rebuild your life. If you're in danger, make a plan and get out, whatever it takes. Know that there are domestic violence hotlines and shelter programs in almost every community. But for many, the damage is emotional, and the narcissist is your adult child or your aging parent or your ex who you share children with or your spouse who you've decided for whatever reason not to divorce, your sibling, your coworker, your boss. So when it comes to sorting through how to deal with these narcissists, it's helpful to see what they're doing as a tantrum. Hang on and I'll explain why. In your relationship with your narcissist, you might also have likely found yourself walking on eggshells to try to prevent these tantrums. You notice every nuance of their mood and emotion, and you obsessively try to make everything perfect to keep them from being upset. This response is a normal reaction to their behavior, but it's also what creates your own stress reactions and overall self-destruction. Understanding this relationship dynamic is crucial to getting healthy within yourself and not allowing the narcissist to control you, your emotions, or your life. So let's start with the build-up to the tantrum. You can usually tell when a tantrum is building. Their stress increases, the voice changes, the pressure on you becomes more focused and intense. You can feel in your body that you're beginning to react. You feel more tension throughout your body, more anxious, panicky, upset, feeling trapped, dreading what's coming. If you've been in a relationship a while, you may have numbed yourself to this process. You may even just think you're an anxious person. I've had so many clients come in to see me for anxiety and not realize their anxiety is the result of living with a tantruming narcissist. Often the next step is that you begin to frantically start placating. You might try to do something you think will shift their mood and emotions. You make their favorite food, shift their attention to something that makes them happy, even initiate sex to soothe the savage beast. This placating is a normal reaction, and yet let's just dissect it a minute. In your desperation to placate their emotions, what are you sacrificing? In a nutshell, you're losing your entire self. When you focus all of your attention on another's emotions, moods, and all your energy on managing their moods and emotions, you're losing touch with your own. You're also busying yourself with scrambling to make them happy when likely there are other things you would choose to do if you were not so busy placating them. And finally, subjecting yourself to sex that you may or may not want to placate someone else is so unhealthy that over time it may make you feel like you're being used and abused. When the placating works temporarily, and I put that in air quotes, you might breathe a sigh of relief, but then the process just starts all over and you find yourself in a continual cycle of stress, placating, relief, stress, placating, relief. When this becomes your life, the cost can become profound. We know that chronic stress destroys your immune system, tears down your emotional and mental health, and programs you to be laser focused on someone else's well-being and not have any awareness or care towards your own. The tantrum. If despite your placating efforts, the narcissist explodes into tantrum with rage or tears, threats towards you or others of themselves, they will often emotionally tear you down, showering you with insults, degrading you, devaluing you, destroying any sense of worth you might have. They will often blame you for their behavior, saying that if you had done thus and such or hadn't done thus and such, you would not have upset them so much. In this blaming, they abdicate any responsibility for their own emotions, further pressuring you to take on all burden of theirs. This usually causes you to then tear yourself down internally. You blame yourself, feel like you maybe should have done this or not have done that, and if you can somehow get things together and do it differently, then maybe they will stop having these episodes and all will be well. You often commit yourself to further placating and deeper levels of self-degradation and self-denial. Over time, this causes you to bury yourself deep in the muck of this dynamic. And finally, the honeymoon. Often at the end of a blow-up, there's a period of calm. This honeymoon period may feel good, but in many ways it's the most sinister and damaging of the entire relationship dynamic. This brings with it the validation that if you would just do this or not do that, the narcissist would be happy and not blow up again. The calm and warmth that you might feel is so welcome after the storm that you'll do anything to keep it going. So you push yourself, your emotions, needs, wants, even deeper into the abyss, closing off to yourself even more profoundly. So what are healthier other options? As I said before, if there's a way to get free and go no contact, this will ultimately be healthier and easier. But if that's not possible, here are other strategies. Looking at all of this as a 3-year-old tantrum in a larger, scarier body puts a more helpful perspective on the whole thing. As we talk about how to change how you take care of yourself in this process, this truth will be our touchstone. So, why do little kids tantrum? Simple, they want their way. Your job as a parent is to give them appropriate boundaries to help them grow and mature. You know that they have to have tantrums sometimes to test those boundaries, and you have to ride them out without giving in. Though many kids throw some pretty impressive tantrums, you know you have to stay calm, not engage in their fit, and hold solid boundaries. We know how to not take anything they say or do personally, not to give in, not to engage in anger back at them, and not to think that their fit is our fault. We know that placating a screaming child is to invite more of that behavior. So even though it's hard to tough it through sometimes, we put them in timeout, we breathe, we self-calm, and we walk away. In our narcissist episode, we need the same perspective to help us protect ourselves from the emotional destruction we talked about above. When we see that this is a fit born of not getting their way, we can see that, number one, it's not our fault. Number two, it's not something we did or didn't do, but is only their reaction to a reality boundary that they don't like. Number three, placating them is not healthy or helpful to our sanity or even to their growth. When we placate, we lose ourselves, as we discussed above, but we also deny them any opportunity to look at the truth of their actions, the reality of the boundary they're fighting, and realizing they are responsible for their own emotions, reactions, and responses. And number four, when we stop taking responsibility for their emotions and reactions, we won't feel so deeply damaged by their episodes. So what does this look like in real life? Number one, stay in your own skin. Don't let yourself get carried away into their emotions. Stay present within yourself. Check in with yourself. If you're starting to get anxious around that person, they're likely building into an episode. Recognize this and think about self-care and self-soothing strategies rather than taking care of that other person. Number two, resist the temptation to do any placating. When you feel the anxiety, don't let yourself fall into placating mode. This might allay your anxiety in the moment, but in the long term, it makes and keeps you enmeshed in their episodes and destroys your sense of self. And number three, you can give them a timeout by leaving. You can say something or not say something. It's up to you. But leave the room or the house or hang up the phone. Number four, if you want to say something, make it short, clear, and concise. Something like, I can see this is not going anywhere good. I'm going to hang up now, or I'm going to leave, or I'm going to go for a drive. You can call me when you're feeling up to a calmer conversation. Number five, realizing that when you do this, your anxiety is going to increase initially. You will feel afraid of what they're going to do, what they will think about you or feel about you, and this will be your focus. Breathe, calm yourself, and remind yourself that this is important. You need to take care of you, not them. As you disengage and focus on you, this is going to feel really foreign. So it's a good weird, and you need to sit tight and just take care of yourself. If they call and begin to escalate again, do the same thing. Be a broken record. Keep saying the same thing and keep the boundary that you will not be part of their episode. You can further say, I'm not going to let you talk to me that way. Call me when you calm down. And finally, remember the Al-Anon slogan. You didn't cause this, you can't control it, and you can't cure it. Remind yourself of this often. You may even need to say it to yourself over and over in the beginning. It is their job to mature to a place where they take care of their own emotions. If they can't or don't want to, that's fine, but you're not going to participate in any way, and you're not going to allow yourself to be thrashed by their tantrums. In summary, the narcissist tantrums can become physically, emotionally, and mentally devastating to you when you engage in them, placate them, and when you accept their story that you could somehow do better to prevent them. You didn't cause them, you can't control them, and you can't cure them. They are responsible for maturing and to take care of their own emotions. Your enmeshment not only makes you feel badly, it helps them stay in denial and immaturity. You can keep yourself safe and sane through the grown-up timeout. It's tough at first, and your anxiety might initially escalate, but over time, having good, solid boundaries is empowering, relieving, and gives you back your life. If you've appreciated this video, please like it. Please subscribe to this channel. Take good care of yourselves, and I'll talk to you again soon.